Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
My SDBXW filed for a divorce 8 months ago. We have been separated for 8 months and moved in with her affair partner. Divorce is to be finalized next month. Now she's begging not to go through with it and begging me to try reconciliation. My wife, 38 years old, and I, 37 years old, met in college. Before getting married, we dated for 5 years. Our marriage has been stable, with a few ups and downs. We have 2 daughters, 13 and 15, born in January of last year, and I observed my wife spending more time on the phone than usual. She essentially did what every other cheater does. When I attempted to communicate my concerns, they lied, shifted responsibility, and gaslighted me. I know I wasn't perfect, and I made mistakes that I deeply regret, but she treated me like a piece of all throughout her affair. I attempted to fix all elements of our connection that she believed were lacking. When D-Day arrived in early June, she admitted to having an EA and sleeping with him just twice. Then she accused me of being the cause of her affair. She said that she wanted to reconcile, and we attempted reconciliation, but she was just not interested. She continued to contact him, and they continued to converse. When I expressed my discomfort, she maintained that they were just friends and continued to delete messages even after I warned her not to. When I threatened divorce, she cried, apologized, and begged me not to. When I brought up the affair, she became enraged, and I was the one who ended up apologizing. After about 2 or 3 months, she began to vanish again, claiming that she was visiting relatives who needed her at the time. I had a feeling she was going to see AP, and when I mentioned it to her, she was extremely persuasive. She went missing one weekend and didn't answer my calls or texts, and when she returned, she informed me that her cousin had fallen ill and they had to transport her to the hospital, and she had left her phone at her sister's house. And I was trying to make it work for us the whole time. She observed all of my efforts but didn't give a. Then, by mid-December, she informed me she was leaving, that she was unhappy in our relationship, and that, although she still loved me, she was in love with AP. She had finally met her soulmate. I recall sobbing for hours trying to persuade her, but she was set in her ways. We had to inform the children. Because her AP's apartment was tiny, she suggested I take the kids during the week and she could come see them on weekends. A week later, she filed for divorce. This was the most difficult time of my life, and I cried for weeks. When I attempted to speak to her, all she said was that she was sorry for all she had put me through, but her mind was already made up. Except for us, no one else was aware. Both she and my parents were aware that we were merely separated but had no idea why. By the end of January, when her mother phoned and demanded I confess, I had invited her and her father over. I told them everything, and I practically burst into tears on my mother-in-law's shoulder. They consoled me and apologized for their daughter's inappropriate actions. I then informed my parents and then a few close friends, and soon enough, everyone knew about us, and I began getting reassuring messages from others who were talking about my ex. Soon after, my wife contacted me, sobbing, and told me that I had turned everyone against her and that she despised me. She said that individuals were threatening her and AP, that her father despises her, they had a good connection, and that her sisters refused to talk to her. No one will talk to her without offending her. It was the middle of April. Her relationship with AP had burned out owing to stress by the beginning of June. I recall her visiting the kids and telling me that her AP had booted her out because he couldn't manage the stress of their relationship. She was staying in a hotel room at the time. She didn't have the appearance of someone who was sad. I replied no when she asked if she could move back in. She expressed her understanding but requested additional time with the children. She said that she wanted to make up for lost time with the children by coming in the afternoon to cook for them and spend time with them. I agreed. By this time, she would have come to prepare my favorite dinner, clean the home, and leave tiny messages with flowers saying I love you. When I got home from work, she would always make an effort to spend extra time with me. I must confess that I enjoyed spending time with her. Then she started talking about how much she misses me and whether I truly wanted a divorce. I used to avoid these kinds of talks. She informed me last week that she had been going to IC and was wondering if we might try MC. She's begun dressing like that, wearing makeup, and she's attempted to initiate with me, but I've turned her down. She has purchased additional items for me. And she has mentioned MC several times. She wept throughout the weekend, imploring me not to proceed with the divorce, saying she had already put up with a lot and all she wanted was me and her family back, and she would do everything I wanted. It's almost as though the roles have been flipped. I've remained numb all this time, but a part of me is relieved that she's had a taste of her own medicine. I still adore her, but I'm not sure whether I should give our relationship another go. Story 2. My wife, 26 female, cheating on me, 25 male, virtually. Her crush is moving to our city in 2 months. To begin, we've been married for almost 2 years and have been living together for over 5 years. And we've known each other for 8 years. Everything began when I relocated to another nation for employment, and she followed in 4 months. I tried to get visas for both of us simultaneously, but we got rejected. When she joined me, I was overjoyed and in my element. I didn't need anybody or anything else. I persuaded her to join me in an MMO around 5 months ago. It lasted 2 weeks until she began playing with other players without me. Late night gaming, voice chat. I was oblivious since I thought it was just a game, nothing serious. I realized that everything was incorrect when I brought her laptop to work as a one-day substitute for my workstation and there was open chat with her permanent companion in that MMO. Because the chat was all about flirting and kissing, I closed it almost immediately in amazement. After a serious discussion, she clarified to me that it was all just a friendly conversation and nothing serious. My efforts were limited to telling her to inform him that she was married and to cease flirting with him. Yes, she said, but she had created a password for her phone and laptop. I was assuming that everything was okay for a few weeks. After that, things swiftly escalated. I couldn't help myself and hacked her Viber history and images. I discovered that it had been going on for months, that she was all flirtatious and was waiting for that man to come to our city to meet in person. They exchanged some photographs, no genitalia pics. She wants to do everything with him, including jogging, climbing, and giving him massages. I have been calling her to do the same for the last year. As a result, nothing. We had a serious chat. I didn't tell her I'd seen her message history at the time. What I discovered, over the previous year, she had developed the impression that I was no longer of interest to her. I'm not taking the initiative and am expecting her to amuse us. She did not feel secure with me. Formalized paraphrase that her cyber buddy is now her support and essentially her bae. My activities were to give as much attention to her as possible. We went outdoors a lot, had a lot of, and I started making sure she would always come back. Before, it was not a big deal for me as she still looked happy. I had been doing it for over a month when I decided to look into her contact history with that guy, so she was counting down the days till he moved in, planning trips together, and everything else. I was enraged by it, yet I refrained from the urge to obliterate it completely. I told her that I was aware of her plans and gave her the following 2 choices. 1. She has ceased communicating with him, and we have decided to concentrate on our relationship. Currently, I'm focusing on myself. I've begun going to the gym to build muscle. I'm fit, 180 centimeters and 65 kilograms. I've realized what I was doing wrong, and I've started doing the right things instead of the bad ones. 2. We're going to take a break till she gets back home. The next day, she resolved that we would come to a stop, but that she would not leave the country, but that she would begin leaving alone and earning money on her own will. For the time being, she was just working 20 to 25 hours a week at Starbucks, which was plenty for her. After making this decision, it started to seem as if we were just 2 strangers sharing a house together after that. I've been taken advantage of. She hasn't shared any information with me regarding the difficulties in our marriage for the last year. I was glad that we were together and felt it comfortable with her in our presence. In light of all of this, it seems that she has abandoned me, quitting a 5-year relationship in favor of a ghost she has never seen in person. For the time being, I'm thinking of embracing that stop and striving to heal my wounds while living on my own for the first time. And it will very certainly be noted if and when we decide to separate. Still holding out hope that she would see my willingness to improve and so find happiness with me.